Hey guys, welcome back to the Cellar. So typically when people think of the horror genre, you're thinking of the fall, right? You're thinking of September, October, or maybe the beginning of November. But there's so many horror movies, really great horror movies that take place in the summer. So today I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite summer horror movies. But first, make sure you are following me on social media, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll be right back. So this list is going to be in complete random order. At number 10 is Us. Us was released March 22nd, 2019. It was directed by Jordan Peele. Yes, we love Jordan Peele here at the Cellar. It's starring Lupita Nyong'o. Hopefully I pronounced her name correct. It's also starring Winston Duke. He's from the Black Panther. He's an amazing actor. So this movie just takes place after something traumatic happens to Lupita's character while she was younger. She's accompanied by her husband, Winston Duke, and their two children. They're going back to her family beach home for the summer, and shit just hits the fan after that. Like, this movie is definitely a psychological thriller horror. Like, it gets in your head. The entire time I'm thinking something else is happening. Like, I'm thinking maybe she had, the trauma that she experienced when she was younger is like affecting her mentally, like everything's in her brain. It is just nonstop. Like, it starts off with a nice, happy family. Weird things start happening throughout the film, and then it just goes insane from there. It's so much fun. It's one of those movies that I literally can watch repeatedly. I can have it playing on my TV all the time. I just love the actors in it. They do a phenomenal job. Even the children in this film are just, it's insane how good they are. So I'm impressed by the entire cast. I'm impressed by the story. That is why this is number 10 on my list. If you haven't seen this film, I definitely recommend it. Go see it immediately. Go see all his movies. He's a phenomenal director. Next on my list is Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever was directed by Eli Roth. It came out in 2002. It's starring Ryder Strong. For all you Boy Meets World fans, yes, you know who Ryder Strong is. So I remember seeing this movie like right out of high school. I loved it. It was something that I have never seen before. It was a bunch of friends. They are on vacation. They go into a cabin in the woods, and basically they get some like flesh-eating bacterial, like gross disease. And it just starts affecting them one by one, and they start turning on each other. They're just like, okay, I don't want to be next to you because you have the disease and you're dying and you're gross. It is one of those movies that you can't keep your eyes off of, but you're just kind of grossed out and skeeved at the same time. I remember there's a scene in the film where one of the girls, like, all her friends are dying, and she's just kind of like losing it. She just slept with her friend's boyfriend, and then she's in the tub and she's shaving her legs. Now, as she's shaving her legs, her skin's coming off with like the hair. It is pretty repulsive to watch. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, everybody's dying and you're shaving your legs. Like, is it because you just snapped, or are you just that vain? I think it's a little bit of both. But this movie is fun. It's not one to take too seriously. There's a lot of silly scenes in it, and there's just, I don't know if it's like, kind of like a meta movie, like they're making fun of themselves, but it's just, it's a little silly. It's not 100% serious, but it's a fun time. It's definitely a horror movie with some like gross, weird scenes in it. So if you haven't seen this one, this is one that I definitely recommend as well. I promise you won't be disappointed. There's actually a bunch of sequels that were made after this one. They're not as good. This one is definitely the best out of all of them. But check out the franchise. It's not horrible. They get worse as it goes on. But the first one is definitely memorable. The next on my list is one horror movie that is like special to me. Like, it's a movie that I saw when I was really young, and the cast I love. It's I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yes, what a great film. That movie was released October 17th, 1997. Now, this cast is filled with greats. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Felipe. Like, how can you go wrong with a cast like that? Like, I remember where I was the first time I saw it. I don't even know how old I was. Maybe like 13, 14 at the time. And I was always a lover of horror, but like this was this, and I remember when Scream came out, like they touched my heart, these movies, and I just never looked back since. It was just such a fun cast, and it's just like, imagine the 4th of July, like being with all your friends and having like the best time of your life, and you're about to go away to college and things are so great for you. And then you hit this man crossing the street in the middle of the night. Okay, dude, why are you crossing the street in this remote area in the middle of the night? You're clearly up to no good. So you hit him, you think you killed him. A year later, somebody's after you. You don't know who did it. The entire movie, it's pointing at everybody. Like, was it Freddie Prinze Jr.? Was it this guy? Was it this guy? Like, you think everybody, like, literally, everybody's a suspect. And then you find out at the end who it was, which is like, it was weird. It was not like anybody, like, it wasn't like this crazy, I guess it was a little twist, but it wasn't a twist that like knocks you off your like feet. Like, it was just a little twist. I like the sequel just as much. That one is starring Brandy. That one's a little later on, and like when they're in college and stuff, like they moved on from this, but did they really move on from this? But yes, this film will just always hold a special place in my heart. A cool little fun fact about this: Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. met on the set, and they are still married to this day. Like, you can't get any cuter than that. They have such a cute little family with a daughter and a son, and it's nice to see like these couples stay together through everything all these years. Next on my list is, of course, like one of the iconic horror summer movies, like one of the most horror, like in my opinion, Friday the 13th, which was released in 1980. Now, this movie is starring Kevin Bacon. Now, if you don't know what Friday the 13th is, I don't know what planet you're living on. You know what Friday the 13th is about. So the entire time I'm watching this movie, I remember the first time watching the first one, the original, and you're thinking it's this boy who drowned in the lake, right? Like, who's killing all these counselors? No, dude. Spoiler, if you haven't seen it, just cover your ears for a minute. It is his mother. His mother killing everybody. Like, I did not see that coming at all. Like, who thinks like this little old lady, I guess she was old, like she was like middle-aged maybe, is gonna go and just start like knocking off these counselors like one by one. Like, that's pretty badass to me. So the movies get a little sillier from there. I actually start to love the franchise really from there. I'm not gonna even lie. But then eventually Jason makes his appearance, and then he starts killing these counselors, which it's pretty exciting. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen the movies, I suggest to like stay home one weekend and just binge watch all of them. So next on my list is Jaws. Yes, Jaws. That was released June 20th, 1975. It was directed by Steven Spielberg. It is starring Roy Schneider and Richard Dreyfuss. Now, this movie, it is an all-time classic. You've seen Jaws. Everybody's seen Jaws. It's the reason why people are a little bit more careful when they're in the ocean. Just picture it. Like, you're on summer vacation and you're just relaxing and you're just like in your little floaty thing. A lot of them had in the movie. And then all of a sudden that shark fin comes and you just start seeing like blood everywhere and people just getting eaten. Like, this movie is crazy. It's crazy. The only scene I really don't like is like the boat scene at the end when they're all, Richard Dreyfuss, and they're in the boat and like, they're with that shady guy and he's telling stories, and it's just, I don't know. For me, that always was a little boring for me, but like, I just love this movie. It is a classic. I love Jaws 2 even more. I can watch that. Like, I can watch that constantly. I'm a fan of Jaws 2. I'm a fan of Jaws the Revenge. I'm just like an all-around lover of shark movies, no matter how bad they are. If you haven't checked any of the Jaws movies out, make sure you do. They're a really fun summer movie. Next on my list is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie was released October 11th, 1974. It's starring Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface. Now, this movie makes you really like rethink doing like a little road trip in the summer. A bunch of friends going, enjoying their lives. It's just carefree. It's the 70s, and you just run into the wrong people. Yes, these people are horrifying. They're just a creepy family that had raised this man that lives, I don't know if he lives in the basement. I think he lives in the basement, that like has like his face is just, it's not his face. He has like a mask on his face, and he's creepy, and he runs around with a chainsaw. So I'm supposed to be going to Texas in a few months. So I'm like definitely a little leery after watching these movies my entire life, especially the newest movie. But it is what it is. I'll just stay off those creepy little roads in the middle of nowhere. But this movie is just a fun summer movie. If you haven't seen it, I suggest seeing the first one, seeing the sequels, even seeing the new 2022 film. I personally liked it. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it. I had a good time. It ended the way I wanted it to end. And the story was a little cheesy. It wasn't it wasn't written the best, but the kill scenes were pretty awesome and it ended awesome, and that's what made me happy, honestly. I bet you guys didn't realize there was this many amazing summer horror movies. Next on my list is Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp was released November 18th, 1983. So this movie is known for its infamous twist ending. It's actually considered one of the most shocking in the horror genre. Now, I remember the first time I saw this movie, I was an adult when I saw it, and I just was like, okay, this is amazing. I'm so glad I didn't see this as a child, especially because I spent most of my summers in sleepaway camp. So I'm sure I would have been up a lot at night being terrified. So yeah, watching these movies, and there was a bunch of them after this, it's definitely just a lot of fun with an ending you did not see coming. I'm not going to spoil it or give it away. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. It's a great film. Next on my list is It Chapter 1. Now, this movie was released September 8th, 2017. Now, I'm not talking about the original It, I'm talking about the remake. So this one is starring Finn Wolfhard. Now, he plays Richie, which is my favorite character, and he's also in Stranger Things. He's Mike in Stranger Things. I'm just always a fan of the character Richie. When Seth Green played him, in the original, and now with Finn, it's just he's just the smart ass, funny comic relief that we need when shit hits the fan and it's extremely scary. We all need that one friend who's kind of funny and you don't take too seriously and kind of lightens all the scary, crappy situations we're all going through. Now, I was a fan of Chapter 1. Chapter 2, not so much. I think my expectations were just a little high after watching Chapter 1. The cast was amazing. I have no complaints with them at all. They just did a phenomenal job in my opinion. And it was scary. I was scared. Pennywise he's always been pretty scary to me. I have this little fear of clowns, which I'm sure I mentioned before. So he kind of laid that out. So I'm afraid of now every clown I see in horror movies. And this one definitely did its job. It scared me, but I had a good time watching it. It is one of those movies that I will enjoy watching, throughout the year, not just the summer, not just the Halloween season, but it's that fun, summer vibe that you get, just kind of being a kid and carefree. You get that Goonies, that E.T. feel, it was very reminiscent to the first one. I think it held its own, this film. And usually remakes, they usually don't do the original justice. And I feel like Chapter 1 did the original justice. So I am a fan. I was really impressed by Bill Skarsgård. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, but him as Pennywise, I think he did this role justice, and I was just pleasantly surprised with the entire film. Next on my list is Hills Have Eyes, not the remake, the 1977 version. Now, forever, these movies will be the creepiest movies to me. Wrong Turn, the people living in the mountains that are kind of been living there their whole lives, and they're inbred, and they're just kind of cannibals, and just, there's scenes in this movie that just don't sit well with me, but it's just one of those films that I can't stop watching, even the remake, there's scenes where it kind of makes me cringe. I have to look away, but then I go right back to it because these movies are just, they get you, it gets you. And I think what scares me the most about it is they're just regular people. This is not a ghost. This is not a demon. This is not just some supernatural phenomenon. This is a human being. I'm a conspiracy theorist, I feel like. And I definitely feel like we have people like living in the mountains. You know, when I hear stories about people hiking and going missing, and like that's where my mind goes. It always goes to that. So yeah, like I can't watch this movie every day, but it's a great cult classic film and I love it. It's just, I just can't do it all the time. It's not like Carmela's everyday movie, but it is a great, great film and it's a great summer film. So you haven't seen this one, if you haven't seen the remake, I suggest you go see both. They're both really great films. So just make sure you know if you go into this movie, it's kind of like a trigger warning. Just if you are not comfortable with certain scenes or like certain gore, then maybe just skip this one. Check the IMDb, the parental, I think there's an area and it'll tell you what's in it. Just in case, all right? I don't want to recommend this movie and like some of you guys are scarred for life, but it, you know, it's a cult classic for a reason. Last but not least is Piranha 3D. Now this movie was released August 20th, 2010. It's starring Elizabeth Shue, Ving Rhames, Richard Dreyfuss. Now this movie taps into like a fear I've had my entire life. So I grew up going to sleepaway camp. I pretty much went from like every summer from like 8 to like 16. I would go for like weeks at a time. We would swim in a lake. We would camp outside. So swimming in that lake, I would just always think there'd be piranhas in there. I don't know why I thought that, but like I was just always terrified. You know how lakes are dark, you can't really see in them, and you know, it's not like the clear ocean. So yeah, so I just had like this massive fear of like piranhas. So watching this movie kind of like tapped into it. You know, like I never really took this movie like super serious. I don't think it's a film that you should take serious. It's just one that you go into it and you have fun. And that's what I do whenever I see this movie. You just have a good time. It's a fun summer movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. There are sequels to this film. This one to me is like, you know, the better one in my opinion. But yeah, just go into it. It's kind of like a shark movie. Go in it and have fun and enjoy yourself. So yes, those are my top 10 favorite summertime movies. Comment down below, let me know which one out of the list is your favorite, or if you have a completely different favorite summer movie, like let me know. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed because we love you here at the Cellar and we want you to be a part of it. And make sure you're following me on social media. All right, I'll be right back.